Coming up this weekend is UFC Fight Night, Song versus Simón, and this is my second of two prediction videos. I did make my initial prediction video on Sunday for me, and this is my Tuesday night prediction video, I guess you could say, now that I do have more insight on the fighters, and a couple of predictions have changed. So yeah, keep your eye out for that. I'll let you know with my changed predictions. But before we get into that, I am pretty close with We Want Picks. As you guys know, I've got a 3-day free trial code that you can use for the We Want Picks membership premium there. And what I actually do is I do my own content behind that We Want Picks premium there. I will eventually kind of make up like a cool sort of advertisement where you guys can see what it's all about. But what you do get is you get a lot of premium bets, you get a parlay, you get a line movement tracker, a lot of DraftKings information as well. A lot of information to help you make your own bets as well. But if you also want to get a 125% sign up bonus to a sportsbook, you got my Bet US link there, and I am affiliated with more sportsbook. I'm just waiting on links and all that to come out, so you will be able to get more bonuses from signing up for different sportsbooks using my links. But let's go on. Hayley Cowan taking on Jamie Lynn Hawthorne in the first fight of the night. This is my my first pick switch of the night. I've picked from Hayley Cowan to Jamie Lynn Hawthorne, and I don't feel that good about it, honestly. I think I'm just overthinking it a little bit here, but the reality is with Hayley Cowan is she's not really all that great, you know what I mean? Like, she's a decent striker, but she's not that good at striking. She's very strong and big for 135 pounds, which is why I liked her in this matchup, because Jamie Lynn Hawthorne is a flyweight, but she's pretty big for flyweight herself. Jamie Lynn Hawthorne is the more skilled fighter, that is a fact, but Hayley Cowan's just going to be so much bigger than Jamie Lynn Hawthorne. But I was kind of thinking maybe Hayley Cowan could defend takedowns from Hawthorne because she's a lot smaller, but even then, on the feet, I think Hawthorne's going to be more skilled anyway. So I think Hawthorne's the more technical grappler, the much better grappler. Cowan's got 2 submission losses. She's not very good in the pure grappling. She's a good wrestler, she's good on the clinch, but when it comes to pure striking as well, she's not that good either. So I kind of like Jamie Lynn Hawthorne in this matchup, man. I was on Cowan, now I'm on Hawthorne. Because I've changed, Cowan will probably win. But hey, I am on the Jamie Lynn Hawthorne side, and so is a lot of people. I think submission from Hawthorne is pretty live as well, because Cowan's submission defense and her grappling is definitely a work in progress. Brian Keller takes on Newsome. I'm pretty confident in Brian Keller in this one here. I think the lines have actually closed up quite a bit. I think Keller is actually a lot smaller of a favourite, which I don't mind, because I was saying Keller is not really the kind of guy you would bet as wide as minus 210, but if he is minus 150, I think Keller is not too bad at that spot, honestly. In fact, I might play it myself. I do think this is a big step down in competition for Keller. You got to look at the guys he lost to. Umar Nurmagomedov and Mario Batista. Brian Keller beats this level of competition that Journey Newsome is. He beat Kevin Kroom and Domingo Pilate. I know Journey Newsome knocked out Domingo Pilate, but styles make fights at the end of the day. I think Brian Keller can get his wrestling going. Journey Newsome likes to wrestle as well, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Brian Keller would be the stronger wrestler in this fight. Brian Keller should be bigger as well. He's fought at 145 before. I don't mind him in this matchup. I think he gets it done. I think he gets it done by decision over Journey Newsome as well. We move on to Stephanie Egger taking on Irena Alexiva. I think Stephanie Egger wins this fight. I'm somewhat confident in it as well. I know that Jacob from We Want Picks does actually not mind the Irena Alexiva pick too much, but I think it mainly is due to the super wide lines. I could be wrong on that, but he will have a video out on the We Want Picks channel with his picks coming up, so he can give you his reasoning for that. But I like Egger in this matchup. Egger's got a great judo background, and she's got very good submission ability. She's got great finishing ability. Most of her wins are by finish. I think she does finish Irena Alexiva. Irena Alexiva on the feet, she might be the better striker, which is weird to say because Irena Alexiva on the feet is not technical at all whatsoever. She's not really that good of a striker, I would say, either. She kind of just throws like hooks with like a lot of power behind them to close the distance and to clinch and to take you down using a judo base and also a sambo base as well. But that's kind of what Stephanie Egger wants to do, except Egger doesn't strike, like, at all. Egger doesn't really throw volume on the feet. She's not a very good striker, but where she does get it done is on the ground. She is actually a very good grappler when it comes to the pure grappling. Great judo background as well, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned, but she's like a European under-23 champion as well, which is a long time ago, but obviously You know, she's been doing judo most of her life now. She's got a great base. She's got a lot of submissions in the UFC. Ground and pound TKOs as well. I think she finishes Irena Alexiva by submission is most likely, but a ground and pound TKO could happen because Iga's done it before. So it'll be interesting to see how this matchup plays out, or maybe Irena Alexiva will be able to get something done. But I think these two just have very similar styles, and Iga is just better at that style. You know what I mean? So I like Stephanie Iga in this matchup. We move on to Josh Quinlan taking on Trey Waters. Trey Waters taking this fight on very, very short notice. Big respect to him. He literally just fought like a week ago, time recording pretty much. And yeah, he also fought Gabriel Bonfim on short notice as well. So Trey Waters obviously wants to get into the UFC. He fought Dana White's Contender Series short notice. Now he's in the real deal. He's in the UFC, fighting on short notice here against Josh Quinlan. I like Josh Quinlan in this matchup though. Trey Waters, you know what I mean? He is pretty hittable. He is genuinely like 6'5". He's super tall for the weight class. He's super long for the weight class as well. And he can crack. You know, he was landing some good shots against Gabriel Bonfim. The fight didn't last that long, but he still was frustrating Bonfim a little bit in the striking. And then Jalen Fuller, to be fair, Jalen Fuller was winning that fight. And then eventually, just out of nowhere, Trey Waters hits him with a brutal counter and knocks him out stiff. And here he is taking on Josh Quinlan. But the problem with Josh Quinlan is, man, he's pretty high volume and he's got powerful days. And I do have pretty good reason to believe that this guy's not all natural. And my evidence on that is the fact that he has failed 2 USADA tests since signing to the UFC. The first one, he got overturned. From this Dana White's Contender Series fight was overturned to a no contest, and then this fight against Jason Witt actually had to get rescheduled because he failed a USADA test and it kind of got moved to a different state. Yeah, pretty good reasons to pick Josh Quinlan in this matchup. Powerful guy, probably not natural. The evidence is literally there. Like, it's not me just kind of making a conspiracy out of anything. I think Josh Quinlan probably does KO Trey Waters in the first round, but Waters is long, man. I think Waters definitely has like a pretty good ceiling in the UFC. There's definitely a lot of good matchups for him out there, but I just don't think this is one of them. I think Quinlan lands on that chin, man. He's much higher volume striker as well. So give me Quinlan by first round KO. We move on to Cody Durden taking on Charles Johnson. Just ignore my lack of ability to open the new tab there. I do like Charles Johnson in the matchup. I'm not that confident in it though, but I think Charles Johnson is better than a lot of people give him credit for, you know what I mean? Charles Johnson, he kind of was able to negate pretty much everything Muhammad Mokaev was trying to do in that fight, because Muhammad Mokaev was trying to shoot for takedowns on him all the time, and he did control Charles Johnson for a very long period of time in that fight, but he wasn't able to do what he probably wanted to do. It was a pretty boring performance from Mokaev. Charles Johnson kind of stuffed all of the takedowns, and Charles Johnson had his own success on the feet in the very small amounts of moments that the fight was on the feet. Since then, you know, he beat Zalga Shemekilov in a close fight, which you could argue goes to Zalgas for sure, and then he knocked out Jamie Flick. And then he beat Odell Osborne, in my opinion, but he lost, which is kind of like, because like you could argue he lost to Zalgas, and it's kind of one of those fights, but I think he beats Cody Durden. You know, Cody Durden's very wrestle-heavy style. He's going to be trying to chain wrestle Charles Johnson. He's going to be going for wrestling takedowns all the time. But I think Charles Johnson is going to throw up a lot more resistance in this fight than a short-notice Carlos Mota did. You know what I mean? And although Carlos Mota pissed very hot in the USADA test after that, Mota, you know, didn't show up much resistance to Cody Durden whatsoever. And I picked Mota in that matchup, by the way. I'll admit I was very wrong. But, yeah, I think Charles Johnson can defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, where he is the much better striker, much more competent striker. Tiger Muay Thai, a scholarship winner back in the day, because he's got that good striking. His wrestling's good, his grappling's pretty underrated as well. I like him by decision here. Cody Durden is good though. Cody Durden could win this matchup. If he can take down Charles Johnson consistently and hold Charles Johnson down, I think he can easily win. Obviously, that is a game plan for him, but I just don't think he can do that. I think Charles Johnson will defend the takedown, so I like him in the matchup. Now we move on. Natan Levy versus Pete Rodriguez. A topic of a lot of controversy, and I don't really mind the Pete Rodriguez pick in hindsight, but I am still gonna pick Natan Levy. But Jacob from We Want Picks, you'll find out in the We Want Picks prediction video that he will do. He mentioned in the live stream today as well. He does like Pete Rodriguez in this matchup. Him and Angelo had a great argument about this fight on the We Want Picks live stream. It was great. I watched it live. But I'm on the Natan Levy side. I do like Levy here. Levy does go for a lot of takedowns, but as Jacob did say, Levy doesn't really shoot for takedowns until he's hurt. Well, he didn't until he did against Gennaro Valdez, and that was like the second round he was starting to shoot for takedowns. And Natan Levy's got great jiu-jitsu and great grappling, but his base is actually a karate base. He just happens to have great grappling, and that's kind of just how his style works out. But Natan Levy's base is karate. But he just happens to be a great wrestler and grappler, so that's how he fights, which does make sense, and it's how he definitely should fight against Pete Rodriguez, because honestly, I think if Natan Levy does try to strike for 15 minutes with Pete Rodriguez, he will get KO'd at some point. I genuinely do think that, honestly, but I don't think Natan Levy's going to do that. I feel like I can trust Natan Levy to try and wrestle with Pete Rodriguez. The reason why Pete Rodriguez is such a interesting pick in my opinion is, to start with, we've never seen Pete Rodriguez wrestled in the UFC. We've never really seen him wrestled in his entire career, because if you do look at his career, they're all first round KOs, super easy. We've never really seen him deal with adversity. We've never seen him in the second round in his professional career. We don't know what his cardio is going to be. We don't know what he's going to look like at 155. And we don't know what he's going to look like if he gets taken down. We don't know if he's got a grappling base. He does train at MMA Lab, as stated on Tapology there. So his grappling must be pretty good, or his wrestling must be pretty good. But we just don't know. These are things we don't know about Pete Rodriguez. And these are things that will be answered in this matchup. But the more proven guy, the guy I feel like I can rely on a little bit more, is Natan Levy. I originally did have Natan Levy in a parlay, but I have cashed it out, actually. I'm thinking I'm going to avoid this fight completely. I feel like the value side is probably Pete Rodriguez inside the distance. I think you can get that like plus 400 or something absolutely insane. But I think if Levy wins, it's probably by submission in the second or third round, or by decision. I think Pete Rodriguez will be live for the first round. We've never seen this guy go out of the first round before. We don't know what his cardio's like. We don't know what his wrestling's like. We're about to find out. But I think Levy wins. You know what I mean? Pete Rodriguez was kind of gifted a fight against Mike Jackson, kind of as a thank you for fighting Jack Della Maddalena on short notice. So I just can't trust him. I'm going to Natan Levy in this matchup. We move on. Martin Buday taking on Jake Collier. I like Martin Buday. I believe he's a slight underdog right now in this matchup as well. I like him. It's weird. Like, he's won most of his fights by KO, but he's not that good of a striker, and that's not even really his style. Martin Buday kind of fights like in possibly the most boring heavyweight style you could possibly imagine. He likes to use his massive size and bully his opponents up against the cage in the clinch. And that's what he does. That's literally his style. But he's got like almost all wins by finish. It doesn't make sense. He's got 6 wins by KO, 2 by submission, and 3 by decision. It's insane to me. He did lose, in my opinion, to Lukas Brzezinski in a fight that took place purely striking, which was odd, but he kind of got his style going with Chris Barnett. That's why I picked him to beat Chris Barnett, because it was a perfect matchup for him. He managed to beat Lorenzo Hood pretty quickly too, but Martin Buday, very boring clinching style, and I think he will be able to bully Jake Collier into that. And Jake Collier's cardio is not something that people are really bringing up much in this matchup, because I'm seeing people say that Jake Collier's got good cardio. Jake Collier might even have better cardio, some people are saying, and I'm like, he gassed out against Chris Barnett 3 minutes into the first round. It was shocking. It was scary, and he showed no grappling in that fight either whatsoever. Jake Collier showed absolutely terrible cardio in his last fight. I don't know how much he's improved it either. Jake Collier is just a weird fighter. Like, he's former middleweight that just put on like a lot of weight. Like, maybe he just saw me. Maybe he just saw me and decided that he wanted to have my body, and he's done that, and then like a lot on top of that. Like, geez, man. Like, but yeah, Martin Buday, he's going to be bigger in the matchup. I know they're listed at very similar heights, but Buday will be the bigger guy. Jake Collier is just kind of built on like not a lot of muscle, I will say that. I like Buday. I like Buday by decision. I think he'll be able to kind of work his game. It'll be pretty boring if he wins, but I think he'll work his game. We now move on to Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Marcos Rogero de Lima. My second pick change of the card. I'm picking Marcos Rogero de Lima. I was originally on Waldo Cortez Acosta. I liked him because he was younger. I liked him because I thought he'd be able to outstrike him on the feet. But I was kind of just praying that Marcos Rogero de Lima wouldn't take him down. Marcos Rogero de Lima will take him down. He will. The last time Marcos Rogero de Lima was like consistently taking people down though was against Maurice Green in 2021, where he was able to dominate that fight with a lot of control time. But aside from that, he wasn't really able to get his game off against Blagoy Ivanov, who's a pretty good wrestler himself, and he knocked out his past two opponents easily. You know, he submitted Andrei Arlovski, but it started with a knockdown, which Andrei Arlovski maybe just knocked himself out. I don't know. MMA Guru made a video on it in that fight. Arlovski went down from nothing. Literally nothing. Like, maybe he, like, closed his eyes and then just, like knocked himself out. Who knows? But, anyway. I don't like this matchup for Waldo Cortez Acosta in hindsight. You know, Waldo Cortez Acosta, he's one-dimensional. He's a boxer, and that's kind of it. Well, I've never seen Waldo Cortez Acosta really tested in the wrestling. He showed good wrestling defense against Thomas Peterson, who's a good wrestler, good prospect. Will probably be on Dana White's Contender Series this year. But Marcos Rogero de Lima is just a little bit better than that. And on the feet, he's so dangerous too. On the feet, Marcos Rogero de Lima is probably more dangerous than Waldo Cortez Acosta. And on the ground, Marcos Rogero de Lima will be more dangerous than Waldo Cortez Acosta as well. So, the more dangerous fighter, no matter where the fight goes, is Marcos Rogero de Lima. But can you trust the cardio? Waldo Cortez Acosta has shown decent cardio in his last couple of fights. You know, he fought twice within 3 weeks against Jared Vandeera, and Chase Sherman put on a great pace against Chase Sherman, landed like 140 significant strikes. Something crazy. Didn't look like he was slowing down too much either. I just like Marcos Rogero de Lima. I think he beats Cortez Acosta, man. How much can you trust Waldo Cortez Acosta? He's too one-dimensional. We just saw it last week against one of my favourite fighters, Junior Taffa. I think we could see Marcos Rogero de Lima beating Waldo Cortez Acosta by taking him down and heavy breathing on top for 3 rounds, like he did against Maurice Green. Honestly, it could be one of those fights, but we move on. Julian Erosa taking on Fernando Padilla. I like Julian Erosa in this one here. The line is closing. I'm not too sure why. I think it's a great matchup for Julian Erosa. Julian Erosa is a great striker, but he can grapple and he can wrestle as well. We've seen him take down better opponents than Fernando Padilla. We've seen him take down guys with better takedown defense than Fernando Padilla, such as Hakeem Dawodu. He took him down twice. I think he took down Steven Peterson 3 times. I think he took down Charles Jourdain twice as well. Fernando Padilla, he's got a lot of subs on his record, but his takedown defense is pretty bad. And he doesn't deal very well against guys that will pressure him and try to take him down themselves. Fernando Padilla, though, he could have made rapid improvements. That's the thing. He hasn't fought for a very long time. You know, he lost to Spike Carla, but it's 4 years ago now, man. He's been signed to the UFC since 2021. He still hasn't made his debut yet. I think he's having visa issues and stuff. You can kind of trust that he has been training the whole time. He's 26 years old. This guy's going to be making rapid improvements. Juicy J's been KO'd 6 times as a pro. I believe he got KO'd by Artem Lobov in an exhibition bout as well. The GOAT, who was hanging up like over there. You can see him right there. He signed that for me. But I like Juicy J. This is a good matchup for Juicy J. He's the veteran. He will come in with a good game plan. On the feet, it should be competitive. Padilla could be live for a KO. But I like Julian Erosa. I think he can get takedowns if he wants to, and he can get a submission if he wants to as well. Padilla does have a lot of subs in his career, as I did say, but I do like Juicy J, Julian Erosa, to win this matchup. Now we move on to Cody Brundage versus Adolfo Vieira. I am going to be going with Adolfo Vieira in this matchup, but I think there's a good chance Cody Brundage could get it done. I think he might be a pretty live underdog, although Adolfo Vieira is my pick. And the reason why I do say that about Cody Brundage is Adolfo Vieira obviously wants this fight to be on the ground. We're talking about a multiple-time black belt world jiu-jitsu champion here, and he's a great grappler, as kind of shown in his wins in the UFC and also in MMA in general. But Cody Brundage, he has the wrestling to keep this fight on the feet. And he is a very powerful striker. You know, we have seen him KO Tresean Gore before. On the feet, he hasn't really been able to showcase his skills in the UFC. But I have seen interviews about him saying how he is very confident in his striking, how he is improving his striking, and how he does want to kind of showcase his striking in this matchup. So, I can kind of trust Cody Brundage to have the fight IQ to not shoot for takedowns against Adolfo Vieira. But Adolfo Vieira will be shooting for takedowns against him. And that is why it is a pretty good matchup for Brundage, because Brundage does have a pretty solid wrestling base, a pretty solid wrestling background, I believe in high school and college as well. But I do think at some point Adolfo Vieira will be able to get the fight to the ground and get a submission. But if Cody Brundage does win, you can kind of say that I did warn you a little bit. Maybe if you were trying to bet this fight personally, I wouldn't bet the fight. If I were to bet the fight, maybe fight doesn't go the distance would be like the only bet I'd place, but I think I'm just going to avoid this one completely. Maybe a little stab at Brundage to win. Maybe a stab at Brundage to win by KO, potentially. But we are talking about the guy that Adolfo just lost to is Chris Curtis, who was in the top 15 and is going to be fighting Nasruddin Imavov, who I believe is in the top 15 as well right now. So I'm going with Vieira. I think Vieira has such a big grappling advantage, and I do think Vieira does have an ability to get this fight to the ground. The problem with Vieira in the past is he has shown pretty bad cardio, but he has kind of solved that problem throughout his last couple of fights. He did beat Stoltzfus in the 3rd round, and he looked pretty good in that fight. And he did tire to Chris Curtis, but it's because he shot for 20 takedowns, and that happens. You know what I mean? Chris Curtis was just able to defend every single takedown, man. I still like Vieira in the matchup. I'm picking Vieira by submission, but if Brundage did win, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I do think Vieira gets it to the ground. I do think he will be able to get a submission. Caio Borralho taking on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. I'm going with Caio Borralho. I do believe he's going to get it done in this matchup. I do believe he's actually going to get it done by submission. Caio Borralho is still yet to find his first finish in the UFC. He's on a 4-fight decision win streak right now. 3-fight decision win streak. Sorry. He beat Jesse Murray by finish, and he beat Aaron Jeffrey by decision. And that win has aged very well because Aaron Jeffrey made it all the way to like the top 5 in Bellator, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, he's made it very, very far. He beat Austin Vanderfoot as well, did Aaron Jeffrey. So that's a good win for Borralho, and it's aged well. Borralho looks pretty bad in his last fight, honestly. Just fight a pretty bad fight, honestly. Just kind of didn't look like he had a good game plan. But against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, this is like a perfect fight. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is very one-dimensional. He's a pure boxer, and that's kind of it. You know what I mean? All he does is box, and Borralho's going to be so much better at grappling than him, man. Borralho's going to be so much better at wrestling than him as well. Caio Borralho's trained with Damian Maia for a very long period of time. He is a Damian Maia protege as well. He trains with the Fighting Nerds, which is actually a very good up-and-coming gym. You see a lot of people from the Fighting Nerds actually in the UFC right now. So it's a good gym as well coming up that he's in. He's in his prime. He's 30 years old. As I said, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, if he can't get the KO over Caio Borralho, I don't know, man. I think Caio Borralho takes him down and submits him. I think he's that much better of a grappler. We still haven't seen Caio Borralho get the submission, get the finish that he needs in the UFC, but I think he will find one in this fight here. I got Borralho by submission. And now move on up the card. Song Yadong taking on Ricky Simón. I've got Song Yadong, man. I do like him in this matchup. I was on Ricky Simón. I've actually got a moneyline bet on Ricky Simón, which I can't cash out. So if Ricky Simón wins, I'll win a little bit of money. But yeah, I bet on Ricky Simón last week because I thought he was going to get it done. And then my pick changed last minute to Song Yadong, but then the fight got rescheduled anyway. But I had a bet with Ricky Simón, and it's moved over to the week after. And because Bobby Green was in there too, and it's been voided, I can't cash out the bet, and because it's part of a 2-piece parlay. So maybe Ricky Simón wins me some money, but yeah, I do have Song Yadong in the matchup. I do think he wins. I think he knocks out Ricky Simón, man. Song Yadong, he's 25. He's been in MMA for a very long time. A lot of people are kind of coming up with reasons why he may not be his real age, but the reason why he actually is 25 is when he made his pro debut, he lied to the promotion, claiming he was 18 years old when he was really 15. So he actually is 25. He just used to lie about his age back then, which is now why he's only 25 years old. But anyway, the point is, I like Song Yadong in this matchup here. He's very good at getting up if he gets taken down. He's got good takedown defense, which will only be getting better as he is training at Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber, who did famously beat Ricky Simón. And as I said, like with training with Team Alpha Male as well, there's a lot of smaller guys there. That Team Alpha Male is a very well-known gym for training flyweights, bantamweights, featherweights. And I think that he's going to get a lot of good looks there, man. A lot of good wrestling practice, got a good takedown defense practice there as well. And he's going to want to keep the fight on the feet. And on the feet, he's so much more dangerous than Ricky Simón. I really do think that Song Yadong would potentially be able to find the knockout in this one. So I do have Song Yadong by KO in this matchup. And the thing with the round lines, I think Song Yadong could get it done at any time. I think he could get it done in the first 2 rounds, Or maybe if the fight went on a bit and Ricky Simón is getting tired from constantly trying to wrestle for 5 rounds, Song Yadong was pretty good in the 4th round against Corey Sandhagen still. Maybe you even see a late TKO coming from the Song Yadong side. I think he does win this matchup. I like Song Yadong in the fight. I like him as a prospect as well, man. Like, this guy is a top 10 bantamweight at the age of 25. This guy could very well be a champion one day, man. He's so young. He's got 5, 6, 7, 8 years of prime left, I guess you could say. He's got so long. I think you could see Song Yadong become a champion at some point in his career. I've got him to win by KO over Ricky Simón. His wins recently are more impressive than Ricky Simón's. You know, Ricky Simón just beat Jack Shaw, who didn't look that good against Makwana Makani, in my opinion. Beat Rafael Assunção, very good win, but Assunção, you know, has lost quite a few fights recently. Brian Kelleher, bit of an air win. Gaetano Perella not in the UFC anymore. Ray Borg just retired because he can't make weight. Yeah, dude, not to nitpick Ricky Simón's career because he looked great, and that was a great win over Jack Shaw. A lot of people picked him to lose. I picked Ricky Simón to beat Jack Shaw because I knew that he was going to be the stronger wrestler, and that's kind of how he did manage to beat Jack Shaw. He was just so much stronger than Shaw. So, yeah, I like Song Yadong in the matchup, though. I think he gets a KO. I think he can defend the takedowns. I think he can keep it on the feet, and I think he can get it done. Now that you've made it this far in the video, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. And as I said at the start, you've got my We Want Picks 3-day trial there. You can cancel at any time during the 3-day trials if you don't like it, or you can continue to sign up. Make sure if you do sign up with my link Artem, or not my link, my code Artem, and you've got my BetUS link there. As I think I hinted as well in the intro, I've got a lot more sportsbook affiliations coming soon. I'm just kind of waiting on the links and all that sort of thing to be finalized, and I'll see you in the next one.